I have lost track of how long I have been here, and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I have always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open.
Hi and welcome to Indie Sandwich. My name is Tom. To my left is Liz.
Hello there.
John. Hi. And Nathan.
Hey.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing Dear Esther for the PC. It's a first-person adventure game where you play as... we're not too sure actually, but he is a narrator.
It's spoilery.
Yeah, and it's very hard to figure out. But anyway, you play as a mysterious stranger on a deserted island trying to find... well, pretty much trying to find evidence for this mystery about three characters in what seems to be a car crash. And I'm not going to say any more on this story because it's quite complicated and you're not too sure from the start what you're supposed to be doing, even where you're supposed to be going. And this is a very heavily story game, even though it is very short, so I'm not going to spoil anything more of it. But hey, let's move on. Guys, what did you think?
I quite liked it. There was something like it. To be upfront, it freaked me out. It was a very
same.
scary game, and I played it at night time when I shouldn't have. It's a bad idea. As soon as it started, like the narration was really good, and it immediately drew you in. And then there's this like little hut place, and you're like, okay, well, just have a bit of a look around, and then as you move on, the music starts, and that's your cue that something is about to happen, and that started freaking me out.
It does have a very heavy atmosphere in this game.
Yeah.
Very creepy atmosphere, even though it's not like Amnesia, The Dark Descent, where it's trying to scare you, but it does genuinely creep you out.
It's I think what you think is going to happen is worse than actually what does happen, because...
And when you bring in the story elements as well, and how they use that with the actual environment itself. But John, what did you think of the game?
Well, I mean, I'd have to agree. It definitely, when you start playing the game, you kind of get these preconceptions of how to play the game just because you've played games before.
And it's very simple controls.
It's very simple, but you shouldn't go into this game thinking that, you know, if you go explore over here, you'll find an item, or if you go do this, this will happen, or as Liz said, if you go into this spooky house with the cue music plays, something's going to happen. It's just really well put together to sort of immerse you in the island that you're on, and even though you have no idea what's going on, the narration just really picks it up.
Yeah. I think it's weirdly realistic in that way. It makes you feel like you were actually there. Because if you think about it in adventure games and stuff, you're picking up all this random crap, and where does it go? It's really realistic that you go into this house and you're like, well, this stuff isn't useful, I'll just keep going. You see a pathway, like, okay, well, I'll just go that way. It's the logical thing to do.
There is no actual direction in this game.
Not at all. Which can be a bit of a detriment to it at times. In the first two chapters, I found myself getting a bit lost, just because they are a bit more open, and it's a great sense of wonder when you do walk out into a field and you see how detailed everything is. It doesn't look realistic, but it just feels real because you're inside this world, just with the music and the narration. But I definitely think the third and fourth installment of the game just really was a lot better, because they were more linear, but it directed you the way it wanted you to go.
The gameplay in this is very, very minimal, and I'm not talking like Amnesia, Dark Descent minimal. That was actually more complicated than this.
It's almost non-existent.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which some people hate, I understand. They're saying it's not a game because of it, but...
It's pretty much just like an interactive book or something.
Yeah. But even so, like it gives you these feelings of absolute terror at times, and that's...
And wonder and mystery,
why does it
and you're trying to figure out the story, which... it doesn't really it really doesn't tell you everything. You have to figure it out for yourself, which I liked.
Yeah.
And I think this is, since it's so short and since it's such a low price, I think that's one of the reasons I like the game so much, is that they made a story, they wanted to tell it through gaming, but they wanted to strap away all the gameplay and just do pure story, which this game is just pure story, which if you're a person who does not like heavy story games, I would not recommend this game to you. But if you're a person who likes heavy story games, who is like something that's very experimental, I would highly recommend this game to you. And that's why I think when it comes down to it, we have to give this like 2 ratings, really. Where for people who, like I said before, don't like heavy story, I would say don't waste your hour mode. While the other people, I would say,
I think
put
if
on
you're in the
wish-
gaming
put on wish
industry,
list.
you must play this game.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see what this team does later on their game.
They definitely crafted some really well-built environments, especially in the third and fourth areas. That were probably my favourite
The
parts.
cave
I had
part was
absolute
amazing.
fear every time I turned a corner. Because I don't, like, this might be a little bit spoilery, but I don't know whether it was, I honestly do not know if it was my mind making it up or if it was the game doing it. I thought I saw a figure holding
No,
a
there
candle. You
is.
did see that?
Yeah.
I was freaking out when I saw
Yeah.
that. I was
Where
like,
was
oh my god.
It was on like you go across all these cliffs.
You can
I
see,
think it's
like,
in the second
into
area.
the
You know the well, there's multiple things like this throughout the game where you see these little shadows and all that, and you might be thinking, oh, okay, this is a genuine horror game or something's going. No,
Yeah.
this is not. This is more
But it's
of
just
a
so, it's
the
so
story,
scary.
the narration, which
Yeah.
you every time you go to certain parts of the game, narration comes up, and you hear, and the narration coupled with the environment itself, coupled with some of the imagery you see on
The
screen.
fact that you're
freaks
completely
you out.
alone.
Yeah.
Like, whoever's the narrator is talking about things that happened there, people that were there. You're like, are these people still here? Is this like years later? I don't understand what's happening. It was so scary. It's the most scariest game I've ever played. I had to I had to alt tab out of it just to have a little bit of a calm down before I went to the next area. I was that freaked
I
out.
think though, if you're a pretty normal person, this won't scare you.
Why is I spook easily? I'll admit that.
Yeah.
But the fact that I did that is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, any game that will invoke emotions.
Right, so if you had seen that thing, you would have like freaked your shit
I
out.
didn't see it, so I didn't freak out.
So
I'm a
crazy.
big horror fan, and this was. If you like atmosphere, you definitely love this game. So, do you guys agree with me with giving it 2 or 3
Yeah,
ratings?
pretty much. If you like story, or if you're in the industry, or if you just want to try something out, get it. If you don't, then just don't get it. Because, as I said, you just walk around. It's pretty much, walking the game. But if you want the story, the atmosphere, the visuals, then it's all here.
I'll be interested to see what the team of this does.
I hope they do another one.
Yeah, I hope they do
Yeah.
something completely different. Like maybe even implement new gameplay into it.
Yeah,
But,
I hope this sort of storytelling becomes a norm.
Yeah, which
Gaming.
I think it has been for the last couple of years. Is like this non-cutscene, like in-game cutscene, storytelling, which I do love. So, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
I will hold the hand you offered to me, from the summit down to this well, into the dark waters where the small flowers creep for the sun. Headlights are reflected in your retinas, moonlit in the shadow of the crematorium chimney,